In this video, we will cover the Help menu and access to various resources and ways of getting assistance. Keeping in mind that this is the beta version of Buyout, many of the things that you see on this tab are not yet implemented. Documentation, however, will be where you will go to access printed documentation via an online source. Again, not yet implemented in this version. Same thing with the knowledge base and video tutorials, such as the video that you're watching now. Also, request enhancement is a great new tool that we're introducing, but again, not yet implemented. That will be a tool where users can submit their own suggestions on additional functionality and changes that they think would be beneficial to their processes, and rank them and so forth as far as importance. The feature that is implemented on this tab, one of the most important features, would be if you do encounter a problem. We certainly want to know about it and want to be able to help you with that. So what we will do is click on Report a Problem. And this is different than the paradigm that you might be used to with other applications, in that this user interface is going to lead us through asking a series of questions that just helps us to triage and diagnose the problem a little more proactively up front before reaching out. So we'll notice first off here on the Getting Started tab, it does give you some other suggestions as far as a phone number, self-help resources, contact the customer contacting their business partner, and so forth, for alternative ways of getting assistance. So we'll click on Next. This step will pre-fill with information if you've already been in this window before. Otherwise, you would fill this in. That'll be saved so that you don't have to retype that every time. We're also asking you to identify the best way to reach you. Phone or email. We'll make every effort to, of course, reach you one of those two ways, if not both, but we'll start with the preferred method, of course. Clicking Next. Now, keep in mind also, I will point out that not all of these fields are going to be considered required. In fact, in truth, the only real fields that are required are going to be name and email address. You could skip everything else. We're not advertising that fact in the user interface at this point. We may do that in the future, but for now, not advertising, which is required, hopefully gets us more information than we would have otherwise had, and not have folks simply supplying name and email address and clicking submit, and then we don't know necessarily what the nature of the problem was. So we'll start with what type of problem did you encounter. We have a few choices already identified there. You can certainly type your own description of the nature of the problem as well. We'll just say in this case it was an error message. Please provide a description of the problem. So we'll say, for example, clicked and something like that. When did the problem first occur? That's sometimes a good clue as to what the cause of the problem was. Some examples, we just did an upgrade of a key component, such as Buyout itself, estimating, or our ERP system, or maybe something else changed. We just got a new computer, or something of that nature. So we'll just say that we upgraded Buyout. Have there been any other changes to your environment? Sometimes, just based on experience, we're not always told these things, so we're asking this up front. Sometimes we find out after we get into the support call that, hey, this is a brand new server, and we just completed a complete migration to a new platform, and now things aren't working. That's good information to know when we're troubleshooting an issue. So we have some options there to select from. Again, you can also type your own, indicating when the problem began, if that's maybe we think maybe connected to something else that might have changed. Are there other members of your team experiencing the same problem? Again, a very good clue as to what might be going on. So if there are other users that have Buyout installed, is it working for them? Are they encountering the same problem or not? Or is it a localized problem just with your workstation? Okay, again, I'm leaving those blank, but you know, we would encourage users to of course fill those in if at all possible. It's also good for us to know what the impact of the problem is. You know, all problems are worthy of being submitted and solved, of course, but we want to know, you know, if this problem falls in the critical category, that's going to be pushed to the front of the line. Now, of course, we're going to be mindful of instances where, you know, if someone is appearing to always report every problem that they have is critical, then we'll be aware of that. But our intention is for users and consultants both to read to read the description of what critical means to us and try to categorize the impact as best as possible into one of those 5 categories. Again, that's just going to help us be more mindful of assignment of resources and urgency and things of that nature. So certainly if it's a critical issue and key business processes are stalled and it's causing a big impact on your business, that's in the front of the line. If it's no impact because it's just a typo on our user interface and you're just letting us know out of courtesy but it's not impacting you, that's not the front of the line, obviously. So we just want to make sure that those are categories if at all possible. And also a further description up at the top here would be helpful as well. Next, you can include attachments if that would be of help to us. Buyout will include its log file. The log file would contain a log of any error messages that came up. So we'll already have that as part of the diagnostic data that we receive. But if there are any other details that would be helpful, you can include those attachments here. And that could be like a screenshot or a document or something of that nature. And on the last step before we submit is an option to copy my service provider. So that would be the customer's consultant, typically, or business partner, or could potentially also be the like an IT external IT resource or something of that nature. This box is checked by default when you first come in here. And then you would fill in this information, and this information will be saved so that next time if you're reporting a problem again in the future, this will all pre-fill basically from that saved data, as well as the relationship, just so we kind of know who this person is that you've copied on this communication, and that allows us to keep them in the loop. And when you submit this information, they're copied immediately as well on that communication. So it helps keep everyone in the loop as far as what's going on. And then we simply click on submit, and it says that our problem report has been submitted. So do make use of that feature if you do encounter any problems. And also, as I indicated earlier, beyond the beta version, these other features will be implemented at some point, and so those are available, and would be very interested to get ideas via this request enhancement feature of things that we can do to improve the product and add more functionality and benefit and value and whatnot.